Hey, hello everyone, and welcome. This session of the webinar for STEPCon is about the Department of Transportation, and we have two panelists here. One of them is Maggie Sandberg, and the other one is Eric Corona. So welcome, both of you. I'm glad to have you spend some time with us for students to figure out the background for the Department of Transportation and kind of what is out there and available for students. So we're going to go through some questions that we have. And so we're going to start with Maggie and say, can you give us some background of you and your role, please?
Sure. And hi, Mike. Thanks for having me on. Yes, my name is Margarita Miranda Sandberg, or Maggie. And I'm currently the director of program management and project oversight. It's a long title, but it's basically oversight of construction projects at the Federal Transit Administration. And our agency provides grants to transit agencies for things like vehicle purchases and building new stations or new bus stops. We sponsor buses, trains, and ferries. And so anything related to that and building facilities. Our department is composed of engineers, and we oversee those construction projects that for the grants that we provide to make sure that they adhere to all of the federal requirements, and that the projects are delivered per the grant. I am a first-generation immigrant from Cuba. I came to the U.S. at age 10, and I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. I went to school at Georgia Tech and majored in mechanical engineering. What kind of got me interested in a STEM career is when I was going through school, I really loved math. That was my favorite subject. And so when it was time to decide, what school to go to and what to major in, I thought engineering would be kind of a secure and economically secure path for me to follow. That it aligned very well with the main reason why we had immigrated. My family had immigrated to the U.S. just pursuing economic opportunities. And so that's how I got interested in it. And then after college, I had several private sector jobs, and one of them was Hughes Aircraft. And so years later, after I had left that job, I heard from a colleague from Hughes who was at FTA, at Federal Transit Administration, and told me that there was a job opening, engineering job opening at FTA, and was interested in looking at it. And before that, I hadn't really thought about joining the federal government, but I was curious, and I looked into it, and it sounded really good. So I made the move, and I'm really glad that I did. I think the work we do is very important, and providing public transportation, particularly for for folks that either can't drive or can't afford a car. And public transportation is maybe their only way to get to jobs and to just their everyday needs. And so I feel like our job is really makes a difference.
Yes, thank you, Maggie. Eric, how about yourself?
Sure. Hey everyone, my name is Eric Corona. I'm currently a statistician at the U.S. Department of Transportation Volpe Center. A lot of what I end up doing deals with data, numbers, spreadsheets. It may seem very boring, but all that information is very important. And we can use that information to help the general public, help different companies, which it's very fulfilling in itself. A little bit more of what I'm currently doing. I'm primarily focusing on the Flow project, which deals with like overseas bringing in containers, all those big ships and having them put it on different ports and having that all that information together and aggregating it together so that everyone can access it. It seems very boring, but it's actually super important for everyone to kind of learn that information and kind of use it to make better decisions moving forward so that we avoid potential problems, potential recessions, companies not having what you want in stock, and et cetera, et cetera. So a little bit more about me. I grew up in Fontana, California, so just about 10-15 minutes from San Bernardino. In high school, I developed a love for STEM. Similar to Maggie, I really enjoyed math. I really enjoyed the different sciences, doing different experiments. And I knew that I wanted a STEM career that kind of focused on helping people. So from there, I pursued a degree in microbiology, immunology, molecular genetics at UCLA. And that's where I started working in like the pharmaceutical field, worked for different pharmaceutical companies, testing the medicine that would be used on the general public and babies in the ICU. After a while, though, I learned that I really enjoyed numbers a bit more. So I pursued my master's in statistics at San Diego State University. I primarily worked in public health because it was a good mesh of what I learned with my undergrad, with what I learned in my master's. Eventually, working for different schools in San Diego and the city of Long Beach. And it's funny because someone at the city of Long Beach mentioned federal government seems like a good choice if you're looking to move another step up. And they pointed me towards the Department of Transportation because I had a friend that worked there. And I figured, what, I'll give it a shot. It's a completely different sector, but I know that what I will end up doing will end up helping people in a different way rather than medicine. Transportation's also a really big issue that needs to be solved, especially with lower socioeconomic folks. So decided to jump on board, and now I'm working here.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's important to notice that there's so much data that's in every business. You need data, people looking at data, because those are the numbers that are leading the decisions. So it's very important. So you both have an engineering and mathematics and all those kind of things. So what excuse me, what jobs are out there? Excuse me. What jobs are available for students to have? We talked about college jobs, but also the career field, if you're going to be a plumber or a mechanic or whatever. What opportunities are there?
Well, at FTA, managing grants, there's there's a lot of different aspects to it, as far as what we do is the engineering side, because we work a lot with construction projects, but there's also financial analysts, planners, and you can kind of come up the ranks being a transportation program specialist, in which you can come from just having a background in transportation and just kind of gaining experience along the way, and just just to help managing the grants, as far as we have requirements for our recipients to submit reports, for example. That's one aspect of it. And just being able to collect the reports that are necessary and make sure that they're delivered on time. We also have within our office, we have administration jobs within our office that manage just appointments that come in, and being able to manage, especially our regional administrator is very, very busy, and just trying to align. We have recurring project meetings and just recipient meetings with our various on all levels, really, from the CEO down to the project manager and other staff. And so there's administrative jobs that have to take care, make sure everything runs smoothly, and then there's the just running the office, right? So there's taking care of the bills and just signing up for services, And whenever there's a need for repairs, being able to take care of building needs, basically.
Great. Okay, thank you. So we have some other questions here. Who is a teacher or educator that supported or inspired your journey? And how do they inspire you or support you? Eric, we'll start with you.
Yeah. So I went to high school in Bloomington High School in Bloomington. So some people might know where that is. But my high school statistics and biology teachers, shout out Mr. Otteson and Mr. Heidel, they inspired me for my STEM career. A lot of it was two things. So first was their passion. They were very passionate about their teaching, and that just made the subjects, made the learning so much more enjoyable because of it. You saw that that it meant to them a lot, like all the subject matter that they were teaching, and I feel like that rubbed off on me. The second part would have to be my allowance to kind of explore with what we were learning. For example, in my statistics course, I ended up doing a project on the card game Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I really enjoyed it, and I was able to apply what I was learning there with that card game, and that just, it made me want to put more effort into it, and I really enjoyed that.
Nice. How about you, Ms. Sandberg?
Yeah, I think in my high school, definitely my math teacher was, probably my favorite teacher. And just, it was, one way, having my family having come here as immigrants, kind of having to start from scratch. It was a difficult time when we first arrived, just getting having my parents, they had some difficulty with learning the language. For me, it was very easy because I was very young, but coming in as an adult, it was difficult, and trying to get jobs with the language barrier, they had gone through a lot. So one of the things that my parents always instilled in us is, make sure that you get the best education that you can, so that's the only way to move forward. So I kind of had that background, coming from home. And then when I went to school, I kind of, certainly my math teacher and my science teachers were just very, very inspiring, very, very supportive. I talked to them about, kind of the path for best way to get to college and the preparation for it. And they were always very, very supportive. They kind of knew where I was coming from, and really helped me to, so that I could be ready for it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next question we have is, what are some of the most significant challenges or opportunities for growth you see in the STEM industry for your roles, or in the DOT for sure?
Sure. I can start it off. I would say going to UCLA and just seeing the diversity, or some might say like the lack thereof, in STEM, especially, being second generation Mexican American, and seeing my classes full of people that don't have the same background as me. That felt like a bit of a challenge because it was difficult relating, but hopefully, as more education, that diversity starts growing. We want to see more Hispanics in these kind of STEM fields, because it's good to be diverse. It's good to have an industry like this with diverse backgrounds. You end up learning a lot. I would say opportunities for growth in the STEM industry overall is, there's always new fields, there's always new technologies coming out, and there's so much to learn. So I would say that's probably like the biggest thing. There's new stuff coming out. Always be willing to kind of take a step out of your comfort zone, learn that new stuff that's coming out.
Yeah, for me, but very, very similar to Eric. When I first went to college, it's a pretty international school, I have to say, with Georgia Tech. But one of the biggest things that I was seeing is that in my class, in my mechanical engineering class, there were only 20% women. And so, which means, just one out of 5. And I had to just go in there and, roll up my sleeves and work, and just don't even think about it, just move forward. And so one of the things I would encourage, young female students in particular, is to just don't let that bother you. Just go in and girls can do just as well in math and science, and would really encourage it. It makes for a great career. Having that engineering degree, I've never had any trouble finding a job. So that's a great path for sure.
Fantastic. We have some other people joining our session. So welcome. And we do have a Q&A button that's available. So if you have a question to ask, either Eric or Maggie, then put it in the Q&A section and we'll get to it, okay? The next question we have is, how do you balance creativity and problem solving in your daily work? And how have STEM skills contributed to your ability to innovate? How do you balance creativity and problem solving in your daily work? Again.
Well, maybe I can start. Yes, so one of the things that engineering does is it really prepares you for problem solving and for looking at an issue from different sides and thinking outside the box, like how do you solve this? And it's almost like it's sometimes it's like a puzzle, but also like just find, sometimes like there's different ways to approach it, and just that the problem solving and finding the best way, because there could be a different way, different ways of solving it, but there's one that might be faster or it might be cheaper, to get to a solution, especially like in a construction site. And it really doesn't matter too much. Like if you go into engineering, whether you're mechanical or electrical or civil, we have all different, types of engineers in our group, but we all can talk to each other, and we can be creative about how to approach a problem, and it's definitely it's the same language. So that's is certainly something that we use on a daily basis.
Yeah, if anything, I completely agree with Maggie. Especially like in my line of work, our daily work has like we require to be creative all the time, because life isn't always going to give you the simplest, just like math equation and you solve it. You're going to be missing some things here, you're going to be missing some things there, and you along with your team really have to be creative, kind of think like, what's the way we can do this? Should we ask other people, get other types of input? And I would say STEM skills, it's kind of like how Maggie put it. I definitely think that STEM skills give you that toolbox that you really need, and it's up to you to be creative and kind of think, how do I use these tools to answer the problem that that's right in front of me?
Thank you. So if you both tell me, what are the most exciting and innovative developings happening right now in your industry?
Well, I can start it off. In public transit, the up and coming technology is autonomous vehicles, and there are so many challenges and so many things to still work out to make sure that the technology is smart enough and safe and can accommodate everybody. One thing about public transportation is it has to be available and accessible to everyone. So one of the things with regular buses, you have the bus driver, and you have ramps that can accommodate wheelchairs, and the the driver can assist in seat belts and so forth. Autonomous vehicles, ultimate goal is to not have anyone on the bus. So one of the challenges that we're doing is how do we make it accessible for wheelchair? And if you have to strap down the wheelchair, there's mechanisms where you can kind of back into it and it holds it in place. But there's so many different challenges with safety as well. How do you test an autonomous vehicle when you're going through downtown and there's it's just filled with pedestrians and filled with bumper to bumper cars, and someone steps out in front of you and suddenly, and you have to stop the vehicle, and so there's still a long way to go, but that is definitely the up and coming kind of next big thing that is happening, in not just in public transportation, but in transportation in general.
Thank you. Eric?
Yeah, also kind of like along that, just the use of AI in general, because we're getting so much more and more information that we're able to, use AI, different machine learning techniques to, make decisions for the future, give us information that, give us a forecast of what might things look like later, and we can use that information to kind of help us make decisions that would really impact us in the future.
Great. Okay, so how do you work with your team? Can we talk about collaboration and communication amongst your team members? So how does that work?
Yeah, so we, we're the regional office. We cover the Southeast, which is 8 states and 2 territories, Puerto Rico and U.S. Virgin Islands. And so the regional offices can sometimes share information. If we're working on a problem that we're trying to solve, we can consult each other. But a lot of the information flows between our headquarters in Washington, D.C., and then the regions. And we use, we use our laptop mostly, as far as, using MS Teams to communicate, emails, of course. I think since MS Teams came along, I think we use the phone less and less. So that has become, really the preferred way to speak to someone. And also there's a visual, you can see the person as well. And then even with our recipients, we have meetings with our recipients, and we used to meet with them, especially with big construction projects. We have quarterly meetings with our recipients, and we would always take turns. We would go there and see the site, and then the next quarter they would come to us, to our office, and meet in person. Now with since COVID, where we had to do everything virtually, we've gone back to seeing each other in person, but we're alternating where we do some meetings still virtual, and then some we go, especially to see the construction sites. So we've begun to do that again, which is great. It's great to build those relationships in person. But I think the hybrid technology, I think it's probably here to stay. And even when we meet in person, there's always some folks that are on MS Teams. So even when we meet in person, we always have teams running so that others can join. We may be in a room full of maybe 10 people, but the meeting itself, could be, 20 or 30 people.
Fantastic. So if you were to hire someone for your department, or an intern or something like that, what skills are you looking for, just so these students can be focusing on some of the skills that they need?
I can speak if anything for since my position deals more with, coding, either doing statistics or, writing some kind of Python script, some type of JavaScript type stuff. So obviously knowing how to code, knowing those types of languages, but I think something that is very, I don't want to say not deemed like as important, but I feel like just communication skills in general, knowing how to talk to people, knowing like if you feel uncomfortable with the subject, being able to reach out to anyone. I feel like that is a very, very useful skill that isn't like a technical skill, but will carry you a long way.
Yeah, you know, at FTA, we actually have interns come in. We have various programs where students can come in. We have summer interns as well as longer term interns that can start with us, and then while they're a student, they can continue to work part-time with us and gain, you know, experience, so that when they graduate, they can either you know, get a full-time job with us or just take their experience and explore other opportunities.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay, well, one more thing. So each of you, do you have any words of advice or wisdom or aha moments that you want to say to these students?
Sure. So I would say my biggest word of advice is if there's something that sounds interesting, I definitely say, you know, put some time in to pursue it. You might end up loving it, you might end up hating it, but you know, if you end up loving it, you can take it in stride and learn more and more. If you end up thinking like, oh, this isn't for me, feel free to jump onto the next thing, you know. You're a student, you're young, you have plenty of time to like learn when you end up enjoying. Like I switched, I pivoted my career not too long ago, and I felt like I was pretty old, but you know, everyone says you're never too young to start learning something new, so that would be my main thing.
Thank you, Eric. Maggie?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with Eric's comments. I think trying different things, you know, it's and if you get an opportunity to do an internship or a part-time position in an area that you think you like it, getting that experience as a student is also great. It also will help you, you know, get a job when you graduate. Always having some experience when you graduate, you know, it's always great. It kind of gives you a head start over others, you know, that may not have had it. Yeah, and then think about what your goals are. You know, of course, it has to be something that you love, an area that you love, and even within that area, like whether you love math or whether you love numbers or any other way you love science. There's so many different jobs that you can apply that to. So first think about what topics you love, and then within that, think about all the different jobs that may be available. And then it kind of gives you different paths. And like Eric said, try one path. And if you don't like it, don't worry, that subject or that topic can be applied to many other industries. So you can just switch, and it's very easy. I've had in my career, you know, transportation is my fourth, my fourth industry, and each one has been great. It's just been, you know, different opportunities that you know, that came along, and I was able to, you know, to try different things, which is always great.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, well, I want to thank you for spending time with us today. Do you have anything else to say? Otherwise, we're going to close. But I do want to thank you both, and for everyone in the audience who spent their time with us today as well. I want to thank you very much. So
yeah, just one last word. Just
please,
for the girl students, please consider STEM. It is a great career path. We definitely need more girls to join us, and it gives you job security, it gives you a great you know, just great stability, you know, economic stability, and it's really fun. There's so many fun jobs in STEM. I really want to encourage all the girls to at least to consider it.
yes, definitely. Okay, anything else?
And from my end, thank you so much for having us.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you very much. Loved it. So appreciate it. Okay, thank you very much. All right, thanks, everybody.